TV stars, I want to start earlier to test like everything, just being on. Yeah.
Buongiorno a tutti, good morning. Can you hear me? Buongiorno, buongiorno, good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? Please write yes or no in the comments. Yes, very good, John. Welcome to Venice, John. Have a look, what a wonderful day. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the experience last week because it was a very rainy day, but have a look, today we have the sun. So it's an amazing, amazing day. And this is the live situation under Rialto Bridge. The sound is perfect. Of course, I'm gonna wait for everyone to enjoy the experience, and then we will start to discover the secrets of Venice. In the meantime, I leave you with this fascinating view of the Grand Canal and with the live situation, the traffic. Not a lot of traffic, we have just a few water buses going up and down along the Grand Canal. We have a few water taxis picking up the last clients that they came here to Venice. Ciao dalla Germania, ciao Cristina, ciao, ciao Cristina Eva. Yes, I know, John, you are missing Venice. And today is even special in this period because the city is super quiet. My grandma, she told me, look, I've never seen the city of Venice quiet like this in the entire life. So it's something exclusive. Very good. I see the last participants joining the experience. I'm gonna wait other 3-4 minutes and then we will start to explore Venice together with this fascinating sunny day. Here you have the policeman boats, the blue boats, going up and down along the Grand Canal just to check the speed limits, to check the traffic, and to check if everyone around Venice is wearing the masks, because these are now the restrictions on the city. We can go wherever we want, but always wearing the mask. Not the carnival mask, I mean, not the Doctor of the Plague mask or the Casanova mask. We could do it. It could be a great idea to turn the normal COVID-19 mask into the Venetian carnival mask. I'm gonna call the mayor in these days just to do something fun. We can plan a day to wear the carnival mask instead of the COVID-19. I think it will work as well. What do you think? Another few minutes. In the meantime, I want to say welcome to the new ones that are joining the experience. Welcome to the sunny Venice. Here is Luca speaking, your guide, your young or maybe old guide from Venice. You still don't know because I'm behind the camera. I will turn the camera in a few minutes. And today together we're going to discover the secrets of Venice. So even if you have already been to the city, today with me you're gonna discover something different. You will have a different perspective of the city. So get prepared. I see even Mrs. Maynir and Thomas. You have some in your wardrobe. Okay, very good. You have some carnival masks. Very good. You should use the mask to decorate the wall of your house. Yes, exactly. The carnival masks are fine. Very good, Anne. So the last few minutes, and then we will start. Yes, and it's a great idea. In Venice, we should change the COVID-19 mask with the carnival masks to make it more funny. Very good. So I think now we can start the experience. Let's say I can start to introduce you the experience of today, because first of all, this one is gonna be a live virtual walking tour exploring the old trade center of Venice and discovering the secrets of the city. But this one is not just a normal walking tour. As you can see, this is the live situation. I'm moving my camera. But this one is gonna be even a competition. Why a competition? Today you are all competitors, because during the walk I will have about 5 different questions. I will make 5 questions. And if you will be able to answer the question correctly here in the chat, you will win an Aperol Spritz with me overlooking the Grand Canal for your next trip to Venice. So get prepared to answer the questions and pay attention during the tour, because you will have the opportunity to win a free Aperol Spritz for your next trip to the city. And now, let's start, but before starting, I have to present myself. I have to show you who is Luca, because maybe some of you already know my face, but some of you maybe no. Maybe you think Luca is an old Venetian man, or maybe a gondolier, like the guy now passing under Rialto Bridge. Or maybe a taxi driver, who knows? Ta-da-da-dam! A little bit of suspense. Ciao, and welcome to Venice. I'm not so old as maybe you were expecting. My name is Luca Fornazier and I'm a born and raised Venetian guide, because as a job here in Venice, I'm a guide. And my family is here in Venice since the 1565, so long time ago. But I will keep the secret of my family till the end. Only at the end I will explain you why my family moved here in the city and why we are still living in Venice. For the moment, I leave you with a little bit of suspense. But maybe some of you could say like, but Luca is just such a young man. Does he know all the stories of Venice? Yes, today I will surprise you. I know all the stories of Venice because my grandfather was one of the first guides of the city. So since I was a mini Luca, a little kid, instead of reading to me all the Disney stories, he explained me all the secrets, all the mysteries and all the legends of the city. That's why for me, when he became 18 years old, was very easy to pass the guide exam. I already knew all the stories of Venice. But then, Mr. John, I can say I became a mini guide in Venice when I was just 3 years old. Because in Venice, since you are a kid, you go out from your apartment and you will always find some tourist lost, asking you where to go. So the first 3 words that my grandfather teach me in English were how to say, go straight on and cross the bridge, turn right and turn left. So I didn't know English. I was simply hearing the name of the place that the lost tourists they were looking for, and I was trying to give them the directions. This is how I became a mini guide, because the only way to discover Venice is or you get lost or you rent Luca as your guide, because in Venice the GPS or Google Maps doesn't work. So now let's turn the camera again, let's start the experience, let's discover Venice together, and let's start even the competition. Because I told you, today you are all competitors. For the new ones that are joining, we're gonna have about 5 different questions during the walking tour. And if you will answer the questions correctly, you will win an Aperol Spritz with me overlooking the Grand Canal. Ciao Amir, Azulai, and let's start. Because you see, we are overlooking the fascinating Rialto Bridge, the first bridge built crossing the Grand Canal of Venice. But the first thing I want to explain you today is Venice is not just one island. Venice is a group of 118 small natural islands connected by 417 bridges. This is Venice, you see. This is an island on your left. Then a canal, then another island again, then another canal, then another island. It's a group of islands. So in Venice, since the beginning of our story, the translation of street was canal. In Venice, Mrs. Anna, we had not many walking streets like the one you see here on your right. In Venice, mainly we had canals, because nobles and merchants were moving around the city rowing by gondola. So now we're gonna have the first question, because now I would like to give you the idea of how was this space in front of you before the bridge was built 1,000 years ago. Even before motorboats and before all the water bus stops. You have to imagine hundreds of gondolas standing here on this side, on the right where the restaurants are. Why hundreds of gondolas standing there? Because they were waiting merchants arriving in Venice just to take them from a side to the other one of the city. This one was the first use of a gondola, the famous traghetto, just to cross the canal, the first service. But then, noble families living in these palaces along the Grand Canal, they had the private gondolier rowing for them, you know. They were so rich, so they could afford it. That's why maybe in some paintings or in some movies, you have seen the gondolas covered in the middle with a little cabin. The question to win the first Aperol Spritz is, in your opinion, why the nobles gondola in the past had a little cabin in the middle of it? Why the nobles gondolas were covered? Let me see which one of you is gonna win the first spritz with me. Why the nobles gondolas in the past were covered? They had a cabin in the middle of the gondola. Why? Mrs. Menir Anne, she's saying protect from the rain. Mrs. Anne, this is 20% correct, let's say. So we are still missing an 80. Unfortunately, was not the main reason. Was just like it could be another reason, but was not the main one. So, Mrs. Menidar, you are just having a 20% of the spritz. We are missing the main reason. Why the nobles gondola was covered in the middle? They were shy. That's good, Sean. Unfortunately, no. To protect them from the weather is like the rain, so no. Show the family crest. No, Anne, you are very close. Not their wealth, but what they had to hide. I give you the last 10 seconds. Why the nobles, they decided to cover their gondolas? They decided to cover their gondolas for privacy. Privacy is the correct answer. Because if you were a noble, mostly you were stopping and visiting all the other families on the Grand Canal, staying in these palaces just to talk about money, about your trades. And you didn't want the other one to see and to know where you had your money, where you had all the best trades. So that's why it was covered for privacy. Venice originally was the trade center of the world. And privacy is even a very big discussed topic even now. Because in Venice now we can say we don't have privacy anymore. We are only 50,000 citizens living in the city. Only 50,000. And in the last 5 years we decreased 1,000 per year. 1,000 less, 1,000 less. Life is becoming a little bit too expensive. That's why I'm one of the last young Venetians living in the city. And that's why my grandfather, he told me, Luca, if you want to live the rest of your life in Venice, you have to remember my information. He told me, Luca, in Venice, you can't have true relationships, because in less than a week, all the city will know it. As we are a very small community, so we all know each other, plus the main sport of woman is gossip. And he told me, if you hang out on Monday with a lady and on Tuesday with another one, in less than a week, the entire city will know it. That's why I have the same girlfriend since 7 years. In Venice, we all know each other. We have the strongest and the longest relationships ever. So we are not like the Casanova, that he had different relationships. We are very good Venetians. And now, let's see the other view of the Grand Canal. This is the view from Rialto Bridge. This is the same view that merchants had in the 1600s, the same palaces. But we are on top of the first bridge built on the Grand Canal. And the first one was not a stone and a marble bridge like now, but it was a wooden bridge and a floatant one, as it had to be opened here in the middle like this, when boats of merchants were coming inside Venice. Boats of merchants coming inside Venice before the quarantine. Today I will surprise you. Because did you know? You know the quarantine, of course. Now all over the world we know the quarantine. But did you know that the first quarantine was invented here in Venice? Because in Venice we had about 5 black plagues, the black epidemic. And after the first one, in the 1100, as the epidemic arrived from the east, from Constantinople, where Istanbul is right now, the Doge of Venice said, all the merchants coming from Constantinople, before entering into Venice, they should spend 40 days, 40 in Italian is 40, 40 days in another island of the lagoon, just to be sure they have not the epidemic, just to be sure that they were encased leaving the plague in the other island. After those 40 days, then, they could enter inside Venice. That's why we named the period quarantine. It comes from the quaranta. Quaranta were the 40 days that the foreign merchants had to spend in another island of the lagoon to preserve Venice from the Black Plague. Did you know about it? I don't think so. So now you learn something that you can even teach to your friends. Now in the 2020, we are still using an old Venetian technique all over the world, the famous quarantine. And then, what was happening? This merchant arriving and entering in Venice, at this palace on your left, the big one, Palazzo dei Camerlenghi, they had to register and pay taxes for all the products that they were taking inside Venice. But now we have the second question to win the second spritz. For the moment, the spritz is just for Luca because no one answered. Let me see. Have a look the ground floor windows of this palace and tell me, in your opinion, what did we have at the ground floor of this palace? I can help you a little bit saying, at these two top floors, we had to declare and pay taxes for all the products like the merchants they were taking inside Venice. But if they were not declaring, we were taking them to the bottom floor. So what did we have? Wine. In Iran, wine, unfortunately no. Mr. Amir, congratulations. These were prisons. Amir, you won the first spritz, not with me, but with my grandma, overlooking the Grand Canal. I will have the spritz only with the ladies of the group, Amir, not with the men. So you will have the spritz with my grandma. Prisons, not for crying people, like the one at the Doge's Palace, but prisons for merchants who didn't declare all the products that they were taking inside Venice. Because at the same time you were coming here on these two top floors, declaring, we were sending a guy inside your boat that was parked, one over here and one over here, just to see if you had something more, just to check if you had something more, something that you didn't want to show us. And like mostly we were finding something, straightly into the prisons. But these prisons were considered the worst prisons of the world. Why the worst prisons of the world? Have a look at the water level. You see, the water is almost on the streets. Because I told you, Venice is a group of islands, and this island in front of us, known as Rivus Altus, is considered the lowest island of the city. And prisons are built on a lower level than the streets. So always prisoners had water inside. Water arriving up to here. Imagine living with the water was not so easy. But not only with the water, my friends. With the water, even rats eating the legs of prisoners, Christina. So here, in less than a month, you were almost died. And the Republic had your life, Christina, plus your boat with all the products. That's why, when you are on Rialto Bridge, Venetians like me, we used to say, welcome to Venice, la Serenissima Republic. What does it mean, Serenissima, Alida? Serenissima means serene, super happy. Of course, super happy. If you were not respecting us, beheaded in San Marco Square, between the two columns, or dying here into the prisons. So, welcome to Venice, to all of you, la Serenissima Republic. Maybe you think always about, Venice is so romantic, the romanticity. No. Now it's romantic. And you come here for your wedding proposals. But originally it was not so romantic. It was the trade center of the world. And the first rule was respecting the Republic. And then I want to even tell you a little story about this palace in front of us, because you see, is the one with the facade a little bit more renovated than the other ones, as now it was the Fondaco dei Tedeschi, the old German merchant's palace. But 8 years ago, we turned it into a luxury shopping center of all the big brands. Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Fendi. So John and Amir and all the other men of this group remember your friend Luca, if you want to survive after your visit to Venice, don't take your wives or your girlfriends into this shopping center, because here you're gonna lose completely your pocket, you're gonna lose all your money. It's the most expensive mall of the entire city. So remember your friend Luca if you want to still survive after your visit. And now let me take you to the old trade center of Venice, the most important square of the city. That's not San Marco Square, the one that you see in all the newspapers. No. In San Marco Square, only the nobles were going, the aristocracy. The real center of the city was here after Rialto Bridge, you see, and after the prisons. Because after the prisons and after the bridge starts Rialto Market, and started even in the past. Very well organized. You see, this space, this street in front of us, is known as Naranzeria. What does it mean, Naranzeria? Naranzeria means oranges market. Here was full of oranges. We still have on the floor the white marble, you see, one on the left, one on the right, one on the left, one on the right, signing where the banquets of the oranges had to stay. Ah, Mrs. Ann, you have already been there. No money for the mall, yes. Very good. But then, before taking you there on the left where we had the herbaria, that's the spices and the herbs market coming from the east, I want to take you to the first Wall Street of the world. And the first Wall Street of the world, I'm so sorry for some of you that are from US, was not in US. The first Wall Street of the world was here in Venice, here in front of us. Because you see, now all these on the right are little bars, but originally these were not bars. Have a look at the white sign. It says, Sottoportego del Banco Giro. What does it mean? Sottoportego means a cover street. We are on a cover street. Del Banco means of the bank, and Giro, like gyro, means to turn. Why? Because all these little bars originally were little banks. And in these banks, in 1525, the Republic of Venice invented the first check ever all around the world. Sean, do you know a check? Yes, of course. You have done many checks in your life. Me? No. Zero. Because I'm too young. Now we have credit cards. We don't use anymore the checks. But if you remember, a check, you were used to turn it to sign. Gyro bank or giroconto, as you say. Simply to turn, sign and transferring the amount of money from an account to the other one without any cash or coin movements. In these banks, we invented the first checks ever because Venetians in the 1500s, we were not anymore Venetian traveling all over the world. We were residential merchants. We were staying in Venice and we had to invest our money into an expedition and receive the profit of the expedition to invest into another one, into another colony that we had all over the Mediterranean Sea. So how you were doing this? Through the checks. The first one in the 1525. And now let me take you to the third quiz, because I can imagine you want to win one, not just Amir, even other members like Angela. But before the quiz, a small information, because in front of us you have San Giacometto Church, the first church built in Venice ever, the 25th of March of the year 421 after Christ. That's why, if you will meet a real Venetian, for us, New Year's Eve is the 24th of March. Some Venetians, they still celebrate the first day of the year as the 25th of March, not the 1st of January. But anyway, you see, on the facade of the church, you can still see the original clock with 24 hours, not 12, 24. And then, you see, there is a sun in the middle. But between the sun and the numbers, you see there is this gray, yellow circle, all damaged. The question I have for you is, in your opinion, what did we have represented on that circle between the sun and the time and the numbers? What did we have represented there between the sun and the numbers? Let me see which one of you is gonna win the spritz. John, astrological sign. Hey, Mrs. Ann, you are very, very close to it. You need a specific word. I need a specific word. You are very close. What do we have now and what did they have in the past between the sun and the earth? Before the zodiac signs, before the calendar, what do we have between the sun and us now? Sometimes. Not the zodiac. Yes, the new one now as the zodiac. Yes, Mrs. Maynard Ann, congratulations, Mrs. Maynard Ann Thomas, because finally I will have a lady with me for the spritz. You won the April spritz overlooking the Grand Canal, because Mrs. Maynard Ann, she said the moon. Yes, here we had represented the moon phases. Why the moon phases? The phases of the moon? Because it was the only technique that we had in Venice to understand the tide, the high tide. Because you know, now we have the iPhone giving us the forecast of the high tide. And it's not even very accurate, the iPhone. Originally, the only way was having a look at the moon phases. Because the water then, on the 24 hours, 6 hours comes up and 6 hours down. 6 hours up and 6 hours down. Congratulations, Anne. I'm very proud of you, because it means that you could survive the high tide of Venice in the 1400s, and you will even have a spritz with me. I know even the other members, they answered the moon, but too late. Too late, because Anne, she was the fastest one. But don't worry, we're gonna have other questions. And now you are understanding, we are into the most important place of the entire city, the most important square. Because we had Rialto Bridge, the prisons, the taxes palace, the market, the banks, the church, and what are we missing? We are missing the old newspaper of Venice. Let's go closer, because you see here, there are some stairs and then a column. As every day, and in charge of the government of Venice, he had to come here, up to the column, just to read the news of the day. From here they were announcing all the departure of the galleys to the east. So sailors were coming here in the square just to find a job, you know. But from here we were even announcing all the bad and crime news. News like, Mr. John Neubauer. As Mr. John, he didn't pay taxes for 2 months. He will be beheaded in San Marco Square at 2 p.m. If you want to assist this event, just come to the square and here, John, imagine in front of us, the square was full of citizens, merchants, nobles, and even women, just to hear about your decapitation, just to hear the news of the day. So this one was considered like the old newspaper of Venice. I'm so sorry for you, John, because tonight you will feel not very good on your neck as I announced your decapitation, but at least you will have an occasion to visit Venice for your decapitation. But let's go closer to this guy, because you see, we call him Il Gobbo di Venezia, the hunchback of Venice. And if you see his face, he's not very happy. He's a little bit sad and even angry. Why? Because we say he had to sustain all the Venetian news, mostly crime and bad news. So very, very heavy to sustain, you know. And secondly, because all the convicted thieves and the evildoers, you know, the thieves, after being flogged from San Marco, that's located a little bit far behind here, to Rialto, after being flogged from San Marco to Rialto, they had to come here in front of the entire population and they had to kiss the hunchback. So we say he was not very happy to receive their kisses. And neither the population of Venice was happy, because we wanted to end with a real punishment. That's why we moved the keys from the henchback to the column here in front of you. What did we do? We engraved on the marble of the column the symbol of a cross. So all the evildoers and the thieves, they had to come here and they had to kiss the cross. But before kissing the cross, a member of the Republic had to fire and burn the cross. So on the keys, the symbol of the cross had to be marked on their mouth for their entire life. That's why here we say, welcome back to Venice, la Serenissima Republic. You remember, the most serene, super happy, of course super happy. If you were not respecting us, beheaded like our John in San Marco Square, or dying into the prisons, or at least with a cross on your mouth for your entire life. In Venice, we were very, very welcoming. We had merchants coming from all over. You could come here and you could expand your trades. But the first rule was respecting the Republic. Now you know, when you will visit Venice, remember to pay the city tax at your hotel, because if you do not pay the city tax, then you know what will happen. And then I'm just reading a message of Mrs. Meiniran, the one who won the Spritz. You said you love the Aperol Spritz. I tend to go to the Baccarat Jazz. Baccarat Jazz is a very nice one. And here is our only, let's say, disco bar, because in Venice nightlife is completely different. Our nightlife usually here is the Cicchetti. We don't have any disco. So I'm happy you were going to the Baccarat Jazz. Next time you will come, Anne, I will take you to a special place for the Spritz, a very, very authentic one, because the Aperol Spritz actually was invented here in Venice, you know. It's a special Venetian drink that we invented during the Austrian period, when we stayed under the Austrian Empire, so about in the year 1800, at the beginning of the 1800s. Why we invented the Aperol Spritz? Because Venetians, we were used to drink straightly, big portions, big glasses of white wine. But then when the Austrians arrived here to Venice, for them was too much. They were used to have the beer, so it was too strong. That's why they were adding a little bit of soda in the wine. And the action when you add the soda, for them, in their language, is spritzen. That's why we named the drink with wine and soda, Spritz. And then the Aperol Spritz, the one with the Aperol, the Campari Spritz, the one with the Campari, and the Select, that's the original Venetian Spritz. Did you know about it? It was a drink invented during the Austrian Empire. And now we enter in another very culinary and gastronomic area, but before I want to show you the name of this street, because the street says Calle dell'Occhialer. What does it mean, Occhialer? You know, occhi in Italian means eyes. Occhi are eyes. Occhialer was the artisan specialized in making the eyeglasses. Here in this tiny street on your left, a Venetian artisan invented the first eyeglasses ever all around the world. So if you are using the eyeglasses, you should say thanks to this Venetian artisan for this very important invention. The first eyeglasses ever. And now we enter probably in the best part for Mrs. Anne Menir, because we are entering in the old gastronomic area of the city, where we have the best taverns, we have the best osterias and the best trattorias, like this one, Osteria Anticodolo. This is where my grandfather used to come about 80 years ago, and he's still here, as you can see. Anticodolo, the antique Dolo, because Dolo is a small location, is a small village located in the countryside of Venice, where we have the best wine, the best grapes, you see. That's Anticodolo. This is where even Julia Roberts usually she comes. When she comes to Venice, she always comes here at the Anticodolo. You should write it down for your next trip, because this is a must for Julia Roberts and should be a must even for all of you. But I don't know if you know the original difference between osteria and trattoria, because now these two words are used all over the world just to say a local restaurant. The difference was Trattoria, yes, was a local restaurant for local food. The Osteria, no. The Osteria was a place where you were going just to drink wine, and then you were sleeping in some small rooms located on the above floor of the Osteria, on the higher floor. So, if you want to have the best local wine, you should go to the Osteria. If you want to have the best local food, you should go to the Trattoria, because at the Osteria was only local wine. Yes, of course, they were giving you a little bit of bread, but for them was for free. It was a kind of investment, so then you could drink more. Remember this to have the best experience in Venice. And now I'm gonna take you a little bit into the hidden part of the city, because I will show you a special mask. You see, this mask that you see on the left with the big nose was the Doctor of the Plague mask. In Venice, as I told you, we had about 5 black plagues, the black epidemic. And the one in 1630 killed half of the population. 500 people in a day died in Venice. 500 in a day. That's why doctors, they were going always around the city wearing this mask with this big nose, like the one you see here on the right, because they were just protecting themselves from the peste, from the plague. So the nose was full of spices and herbs just to filter their breath. The Doctor of the Plague mask. Now we can consider it even as the coronavirus mask, like the COVID-19 mask. We should invent something similar. But let's enter in the old part of Venice, because here I'm using the camera, I will try to show you, but here the floor is crazy leaning. It's really, really leaning, because the foundations of Venice are composed by millions of wooden poles. Under us, we still have 8 meters wooden poles. And of course, after hundreds of years, the wooden poles at the beginning into the mud, without oxygen, into the garden, without oxygen filtering inside, what happened? The wood petrified. It turned into rock, stone. That's why then we passed things only when the floor of Venice petrified, because the first Venice was built with wooden poles straightly into the mud of the islands. And it was built in wood, with the famous palafittes, like a wooden bridge on top of wooden poles. Only when the wood petrified, we turned to the marble buildings. And that's why in Venice, everything is leaning. Have a look this door. Does it look straight? What do you think? It's not very straight. It's a little bit leaning. They even had to personalize the wood of the door. But the thing is, for us, is super safe. There are still 3 families living inside here. Still 3 families. Because we say, in Pisa, that's the other city of Italy, only the tower is leaning. In Venice, the entire city, everything is leaning. And now we enter in my favorite part, because now we are entering into the old red light district of Venice. Ooh. Why the old red light district of Venice? Because here in Venice, in the 1200, we started to open the casinos. What does it mean, a casino? Casino, with the accent on the O, is the place for gambling. Casino means a courtesan house. Here in Venice, we were full of courtesan houses. Because in Venice, in the 1200, we had the highest level of homosexuality. That now, it's something normal. Once, in a Catholic city, like Venice was, they were killing you for this, you know. They were burning you for this. But Venetians, we were merchants and sailors, spending 1, 2, 3, 4 years in a boat with only men. So you could imagine what was happening. Only men for 4 years, we were attracted by the others. So that's why the Doge, he decided to open the courtesan houses, just to attract Venetians. We say, just to show them back to the right way. And this is how it all started. But the casino was a palace, like the one here on the right, on the left, and like the one on the right. You were going inside a palace, you were dancing with the courtesans, you were having dinner with them. Only at the end, each one was going to his room. So, it was a very, very kind way to do it. Imagine in the 1500 in Venice, we had 11,000 courtesans working in Venice. 11,000, because it was a job. They were controlled by doctors, they were even paying taxes, and was a huge income for the government of the city. But then in this area was happening something strange, because on the balconies, instead of seeing the flowers, usually there you had not the flowers. Usually there you had the Venetian courtesan showing her tette, her boobs. Why? Just to attract merchants to go inside. Because now we have Instagram, you see all these ladies posting the picture in Instagram like this, like this, like this, to show how beautiful they are. Originally, the only way was directly from the balcony. Imagine behind here we even have Ponte delle Tette. What does it mean? The bridge of the boobs. The bridge of the boobs because you were doing just two steps on the bridge, and in front of the bridge there was a courtesan house with 2 windows and 2 courtesans showing their boobs, just to invite merchants to go inside. My grandfather, he told me, Luca, you don't even know how many Venetians and merchants were falling from the bridge, because these guys, they were simply attracted by the view of the boobs and they were not following anymore the steps of the bridges, because originally all the bridges in Venice were without the sides, without the railings. That's why it was very easy, if you were distracted by something, to fall into the canal. We say to get baptized into the Venetian water. And now I have the most important question for you, because then I would like to offer you the biggest spritz, let's say. But before taking you in a square that maybe can help you a little bit, I will make the question. I will give you 30 seconds to think about it. So, yes, Sean said, the window shopping. Yes, exactly. Try before you buy, Angela is saying. Yes, exactly, Angela. You got the correct information. So the question I have is, in your opinion, how was possible to have the drinking water in Venice in the past, in the year 1200 or in the year 1500? How could we obtain the drinking water in Venice in the past? Let me see which one of you is gonna win the biggest Aperol spritz. At the moment I don't see any comment. How could we have the drinking water in Venice in the past with charcoal rain captured in cisterns? Ah, very good. Did you drink? Mrs. Anne, you were saying that, we drink wine instead of water. That's a correct answer. I love it. But the winner is Mr. John. Congratulations, John, because you won an Aperol Spritz, not with Luca, but with my grandma, because I told you I will have only the ladies, overlooking the Grand Canal for your next trip to Venice. At the end, I will give you all the instructions to collect your Spritz. Very good, John. So yes, we were catching the rain water. The only way was the rain water. But the rain water, you see, when you walk around Venice, is full of wells. These marbles are the wells, but not directly here into the well, it was not big enough. We had to maximize all the water falling on the floor. That's why, if you see, now I try to show you with my camera, the floor of the square is kind of leaning in some lower parts, where these marbles are located. One over here and one on the other side. So we could collect all the water falling, and under us, under the well, there was a cistern composed by 4 meters of different sand to filter the water from the sides and canalize the water into the middle. So once here, you had the filtered water. But, now the secret. Because noble families living inside these palaces, they had the private well inside, because they could pay taxes to have the private water. For the public one, like this one, the secret is that only the priest of the community where the well was, only the priest, he could take the water from the well and distribute the water to the population. Only the priest. If I was coming here with Jerry, me and you, Jerry, taking the water by night, one day, beheaded in San Marco Square, like John. Only the priest, because they had to ration the water, starting from the most important families, the ones that they were giving donations to the church, the ones that they were commissioning something for the church, you know, a monument, a decoration on the facade, a painting. And in Venice, they didn't care about the poor. We were a rich city. We were the trade center of the world. That's why the secret is you're going to remember your friend Luca for your entire life. No, when you will come to Venice, you have to remember your friend Luca. Because when you will walk around Venice, you will see wells are everywhere. In some squares, they are even 3 or 4. But always remember, when you see a well, have a look around you, because there will be always a church close to it. Always. Because it was easy for the priest to control it. Was easy for the church to control life. Because water was life. I know it's a little bit a sad story, because it's not so happy. In Venice, we are very Catholic. I still used to go to the Mass, and my grandma, she goes twice a day to the Mass, even by night. Sometimes I have to go there by night, just to pick her up, to give her some food. But in Venice, in the past, we had 138 churches. Most of them, they were not even frequented. They were there to control the water, so to control life. And now, after this little sad story, I want to make you smile again. That's why I will finally explain you my family secret. But before my family secret, I have a little question. Just to know, you can write yes or no in the chat. Have you ever heard about Murano glass? Let me see. Yes or no? Just write it in the chat. Have you ever heard about Murano glass? You should say yes, I think. Mrs. Ann says yes. Okay, so anyway, you love Murano, Angela. I know. Very good. So, you know, Murano is a small island located in front of Venice. But the first glass factories, you know, in Murano we have the most authentic, the oldest glass factories of the world, because all the very nice chandeliers that you see in Las Vegas, in Dubai, inside all the palaces all over, they are coming from Murano. In Murano we have the best glass blowers and the first glass blowers ever. But the first glass factories were in Venice, around the year 1100. Only in the 1291, after 200 years of production, the Doge of Venice said, "Oh, we can't continue like this. It's too dangerous. Let's move all the glass factories from Venice to Murano Island." So, in your opinion, why, after 200 years of production, the Doge decided to move in the 1291 all the glass factories from Venice to Murano Island? Why? Let me see which one of you is gonna win the spritz. I helped you a little bit during the explanation of the glass, but why the Doge moved the glass factories from Venice to Murano? Yes, Florencia. Yes, Florencia, you said dangerous, because I said dangerous when I explained it. I helped you a little bit too much. But the thing was that, yes, Mr. John, again, John, John, this time we should offer the spritz to the second one who answered. Mrs. Christina Eva Scotch. Congratulations, Mrs. Christina, because you won an Aperol Spritz with me overlooking the Grand Canal for your next trip to Venice. Yes, Christina, you said danger of fires. For fires, because Venice in the 1200 was still built in wood, especially where the glass factories were, because they were located in the hidden part of the city. So, after many fires, the Doge said, we can't continue like this. We have to move all the glass factories into another island. And that's why Murano. But the second reason was to preserve the secret of the glass. Because in Venice we had merchants coming from all over the world, so they could copy the art. That's why we moved everything to Murano. And that's why a master blowing the glass, he had to work in Murano Island and he had to live in Murano Island. If the master was trying to escape or move from the island, a member of the Republic had to find him and had to remove his eyes or cut his hands, because he couldn't teach the art outside of the island. That's why I'm explaining you all of this, because my surname is Fornazier. Fornazier comes from fornaza, and fornaza is a furnace where you blow the glass, because my family is a glass-blowing family since 1565, and I don't have any member of the family without eyes or without hands, you know. Of course, we all respected the big Doge rule, because my uncle is still blowing in Murano. So next time you will visit Venice, remember to contact your travel curious agent or just write an email, because I can take you to my uncle glass factory to live a glass blowing show, and maybe my uncle will even let you blow. Because you see the big chandelier that's inside this restaurant, this is one of my uncle's chandeliers. Now it's closed, but I hope you can see it a little bit. And even all the colorful glasses that you see that are decorating the tables are coming from my glass factory. No, unfortunately, Anna, it's not that I have never learned, let's say, but for me it's too hard. You have to be an artist since the beginning of your life, because my uncle is a glassblower, but my father is not a glassblower. And so I asked to my grandfather, the first glassblower that I met, why my uncle became a glassblower and my father no. And he told me, Luca, you know, since your uncle and your father were kids, since the first little paintings that they were doing, the first sketches, I was able to recognize which one of the two was on the way to become a master, since the first small paintings that they were doing, because it's something that you have inside the blood. Of course, you need about 20 years of practice to become a master glassblower, but you have to have it since you are a kid. This is the glass blowing, and that's why there are only 26 masters blowing the glass all over Murano Island. It's a little bit a dying art because of many fake shops and Chinese shops in the city center of Venice. Anyway, now, with this fascinating Grand Canal view, I would like to explain you one of the main natural phenomena that we are having right now. I would like to explain you the phenomenon of the high tide. Because you have heard a lot about Venice flooded, Venice is sinking, the water coming on the streets. And mainly, the New York Times and even the Guardian, they write fake news about the high tide. Today with me, you will learn how it works, so you can write an article about it. You will be my ambassadors. So, how does it work? Here, always, every day, even now, the water 6 hours comes up and 6 hours down. 6 hours up and 6 hours down. That's the normal tide. But usually, in some periods, October, November, like now, and February, March, it comes up more than the street level, so we have the high tide. But Venice is not built at the same level, you see. It's more or less like this, is more or less leaning. So, as I told you, today is a group of different islands. Here, Rialto and San Marco These are considered the lowest parts of Venice. So here, when the water comes up, the water, I show you on my body, it comes like this. Can you see it? Up to my knees. What do? We just wear our boots till here and we go walking. For us it's normal life. I can't skip to go to my office because of the tide, you know. After 2 hours then it goes down again. But have a look, what does a shop do? Or a restaurant, or an hotel, or a dog, like the dog in front of us. He was stretching a little bit. But anyway, this is a very nice hair studio. And here you see these metal elements that they have on the right. These are the barriers that they used to put at the entrance of the store to block the water, so the water can't filter inside. They leave the barriers horizontally. The thing is, here they have a new floor, so under the floor they even built a cistern in case pumping out all the water. 80% of the buildings in Venice, like the palaces that we have in front of us, 80% of the buildings we still have the original floor. So the water comes from the canal and you block it at the entrance, but even through the floor. And that's why we have a city alarm playing 2 hours before the tide. You wanna know what I have to do? I have to wake up, me and my uncle, the glassblower. We go to my grandma apartment, she's living in Murano Island, and we have to take up all the stuff she has at the bottom floor. The fridge, the washing machine, the sofa, because the water comes from the canal and you block it, but even through the floor. And it's a natural phenomenon. You can't plan it. Average is 20 days a year, but could be even 100, could be even 0. You only know it 3 hours before. This is the high tide. So, if you're planning your trip to Venice and you hear about a high tide forecast, don't worry. Do not cancel your trip, because now you have a friend in Venice. You will send me a message, I will send you a live video. I will share the live video with Travel Curious to have the real situation. You know, mainly they write fake news about the tide, all the newspapers. The water is just for 2 hours on the streets. For you it's not a problem. You will buy the plastic boots and you can go walking. You can even push your partner on the water, not into the canal, I mean the water on the streets. But then always keep in your mind your friend Luca, because at the same time you will be having fun. Luca will be or hanging a fridge, or a washing machine, or a sofa bed. So, I think not very, very easy to do it. And that's why, if you want, and if you will be free, you can even come to my grandma apartment in Murano, and after the glass blowing show, you can help us to take up all our stuff to the bottom floor. So at least at the end, my grandma, she will prepare a delicious dish of pasta for you, just to say thank you that you are helping a Venetian with a high tide. So, now I hope you enjoyed the little walking tour exploring the heart of the city and the secrets of Venice. But now we have the most interesting part of the experience, because now we have the Q&A section. So each one of you, if you have any kind of question, any curiosity, anything that you would like to know about Venice, its tradition, or even when is the best period to come, where we should stay, or feel free to ask me here in the chat, because I will answer live all your questions. And at the end of the answers, you should stay all inside, because I will have a little gift directly from me for all of you. So first, all the questions that they're gonna be very interesting for each one, and then at the end of the questions, I will tell you which one will be the gift that I have for all of you for your next trip to the city. So I'm ready here to read all your questions in the chat. I'm just reading the messages of Anne that she's talking about her cousin that's a very arty man, like my uncle and like my cousin Nicolò, that he is frequenting the glassblowing high school, because now in Murano 5 years ago they opened the glassblowing high schools. So I see Marie, Mrs. Marie, you see the water looks very clean. Is it just thinking it will smell? If not, no, Marie. Now I will explain you very well. So how it works? The water is very clean because now we have a little bit less traffic than before. You know, we don't have anymore the huge cruise ships coming to Venice that usually we had about 6 cruise ships per day. That's why you see a very clean water, and we even have less water taxis and less water buses on the Grand Canal, so the water looks clean. But the water is always clean, I mean, because it comes from the sea, 6 hours inside, and 6 hours it goes. The difference is that the canals sometimes are not very clean. The bottom of the canals, usually in Venice every 40 years, they should drag the canals, each part per part, so not all the canals in a day. We do in November, we do a small area of Venice, in December another one, and then another one, usually when we don't have many tourists. And then when you clean the canals, the water looks like the Caribbean water, because the bottom and the sand of the canal is very clean. But then you say about the smell. Unfortunately, we have sometimes the smell in summer when the water goes down, so very, very low, and it's very sunny, and the sun sunbathing into all the green stuff that now you see is staying under the water creates not a very good smell. But mainly, you know, it was happening more in the past, let's say. Now, if you go to the city center, you don't smell it anymore. If you are unlucky, could be that you are in one of the lowest day of the season, when the water reach the lowest level, but usually now we don't have anymore the smell like we had it in the past. And in the past was because all the, you know, all the dark water, the one coming from your apartment, was going directly to the canal. Now not anymore. Now we have huge cisterns located under a group of buildings where we collect all the water, and then once, twice a month, they come by boat and they pump all the water out into the boat and they take it away. So this is the actual system. You're welcome, Marie. What time of the year is best to travel to Venice for fewest people? Very good question, this one, Jerry Rhodes. Because the best time to explore Venice, I will suggest you the month of April and the month of October. Because you see, now we are in October and the weather is amazing. You have a blue sky, it's not too warm, the humidity is not so high, so it's very comfortable to walk around the city. There are not many tourists, because usually in April and October the city is not so crowded, as the cruise ships, they come in May and they end in September, and even the hotel rates are a little bit cheaper. So my suggestion definitely is April or October. These are the 2 best months to have a very nice experience in Venice, with nice weather, good hotel rates, and a quiet city. Very good. Which COVID restrictions concerning out-of-country tourists are currently in place? Mrs. Alida, very good question. Actually, the COVID restrictions here in Venice are just a few. So in Italy, let's say, we always have to wear the mask when we walk around the city. And we have some visitors coming from Germany and from Europe, let's say. The only ones like the UK and Switzerland, they stopped to come because you should stay now in quarantine. But we had many visitors all summer coming from Switzerland, from UK, some even from France, from Belgium, from Austria, from a little bit all over Europe. The only restrictions here are wearing the mask everywhere, even outside. And of course you can remove your mask if you are having lunch or having dinner, or if you are drinking something. But always you have to keep your mask. And then the restaurants, they have to close at midnight. We can't have any nightlife after midnight. These are the rules. Are cruise ship banned from Venezia now? Mrs. Maynir Ann. No, for the moment we are, yes, let's say we don't have any cruise ships coming to Venice because of the COVID, they are not coming. But let's say for the next season, we are a little bit limiting the cruise ships. Because last summer we had even 2 small accidents, and as we had 8 cruise ships in the weekend arriving at the same time, so it was too much. That's why the government of Venice made a decision, and we're gonna have less cruise ships than last year, and very well distributed during the week. What does it mean? On Monday we will have 2, on Tuesday 2, on Wednesday 2. So no 8 cruise ships at the same day and the rest of the week empty. We are starting to, let's say, manage better the flux of tourism coming from the cruise ships. Thank you, Amir. Thank you so much. Thanks. And then I have another question. Also from Africa. Yeah, no, from Africa we had no tourists. The ones maybe you have seen in the street, they were just the ones that they don't live in Venice, but maybe they live in the countryside of the city, in Veneto region, and they come here just to work. The guys that you have seen around. Are there exemptions for wearing masks? In Galles, some are exempt. No. I think in Venice, always you have to wear the mask. I think I've never seen anyone, like, there are of course some guys that they don't wear it because they don't care, but the rule is you have to wear it. Always you have to wear the mask. If you are outside, or even if you are inside any public building. Everywhere, for the moment, since last week, you have to wear it. 2 weeks ago, no. You had to wear the mask only inside the public places. Thank you so much, Amir. Thank you for the congratulations. Yes, so let me see if there are other questions or no. I think for the moment there are no other questions. So, I would like now to end the experience with a special gift for all of you. First of all, I hope you enjoyed my tour. I hope you had fun today with me, exploring some secrets of Venice, and I really hope to welcome you here very soon. The gift I have for all of you is... we have the last question. Eunice says, are there cars in Venice? No, Eunice, in Venice we only have boats or you go walking. The only way is going through around the city, walking or by boat. That's it. Neither bicycles, only walking and by boat. Imagine, Eunice, when I was a kid I was trying to use my bicycle but it was not legal, so I had the policeman trying to find me on the way. But I'm a good Venetian. I know all the very, very narrow and tiny streets, so there was no way to take Luca. I knew all the best hidden streets to escape from them. So, grazie mille. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Sean. Thanks. I was announcing the gift that I have, and the gift is not just for the winners of the question, so not just for the ones that they answer correctly the question, but for each single participant of this experience, I would like to offer you a free Aperol Spritz with me overlooking the Grand Canal for your next trip to Venice. This is the best way that I have to say thank you, that you are supporting my activity as a local guide here in Venice during this very, very hard time. And the best way that I have to say thank you is offering you a free spritz when you will visit Venice. You should just contact Travel Curious. You should ask for Luca, they will give you all the details. Maybe we're gonna have a tour together. I will even take you exploring the Grand Canal by boat, or the islands, or Murano to see my uncle blowing, and then I will offer you a free Aperol Spritz. So just stay in contact with Travel Curious to have your gift when you will visit Venice. We will plan a meeting and we will drink together. And maybe we're gonna even talk about the virtual experience. You will say, Luca, you were so boring. Or, Luca, you were very nice and very funny. So, thank you so much to all of you. I send you a big hug. I leave you with this fascinating view of Venice, of the Grand Canal, of the gondolas, and of a small couple of Venetians training and doing the rowing around Venice, because you know, rowing here is a sport. We invented the famous regatta, and see you soon here in Venice. Ciao, ciao, a big hug to all of you, enjoy the rest of your week, and see you soon. Ciao.